Hi Logan and other little boys and girls that are joining us here this afternoon. Welcome to Spending Time with Aunt Debbie. Aunt Debbie is feeling just a little bit batty today, so she put her bats on. You know why she's feeling batty? I think because tomorrow is actually Halloween. So I have a couple of poems that I want to share with you this afternoon. And the first one is called The Black Cat Caper. Let's count the black cats as we put them on the flannel board, which is me. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we know their color is black because we've already talked about that. And black is spelled B-L-A-C-K, black. 5 little black cats sitting on a fence. The first one said, "The moon is so immense." The second one said, "There are bats flying by." The third one said, "I heard an owl's cry." The fourth one said, "Let's hide right away." The fifth one said, "Oh, I wish that it were day." Whoo! Went the wind, out went the light. 5 little black cats scampered out of sight, and away they went. What a great little story. I hope that you can do that one when you get a chance to before tomorrow night. Then we have another little poem, and it's about pumpkins, of course, because what is Halloween without pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns? And let's count the pumpkins as we put them on the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ready? 5 little pumpkins sitting in the store. 1 became a jack-o'-lantern, and then there were 4. 4 little pumpkins as plump as they could be. 1 was bought to make a pie, and then there were 3. 3 little pumpkins with nothing to do. 1 was bought by a family. Then there were only 2. 2 little pumpkins waiting for some fun. 1 was bought to toast his seeds. And then there was 1. 1 little pumpkin all alone in the store. I took him home. And then there were none. 0. That didn't sound quite right, did it? But that's okay, because that's just a little poem. And I took that little guy home with me, and I carved him into a nice jack-o'-lantern. And you already saw that, didn't you? He has such a gorgeous little face. I hope you have a jack-o'-lantern for tomorrow night, for trick-or-treating, and also for just for Halloween celebrations in your classroom. Now I have one more little thing to share with you. It's a little story. And I'm going to need you to help me out with it. And at certain parts, I'm going to ask you to say these words. And still she sat, and still she spun, and still she waited for someone to come. Let's try that part together. And still she sat, and still she spun, and still she waited for someone to come. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. Once upon a time, there was a little old lady who lived all alone by herself out in the middle of the forest. And she was sitting there one evening when it was dark and cold, just sitting spinning. Ready? And still she sat, and still she spun, and still she waited for someone to come. When all of a sudden she heard a at the door. And the little old lady got excited and she said, "Come in." And in clomped 2 big, big feet that sat on the cold, cold floor. Well, the little old lady didn't know what to think about that. But, ready? Still she sat, and still she spun, and still she waited for someone to come. And then all of a sudden she heard another at the door, and the little old lady said, "Come in." And in came 2 short, short legs with a wee, wee waist that sat on the big, big shoes on the cold, cold floor. Now, I don't mind to tell you that the little old lady was getting just a little bit afraid about what might be happening to her home. But, ready? Still she sat, and still she spun, and still she waited for someone to come. And while the little old lady was spinning and sitting, guess what she heard? Another knock on the door. Oh my, thought the old lady. Well, come in. And in flew two broad shoulders that sat on the wee waist, with the short legs on the big shoes that sat on the cold floor. Oh my, thought the old lady. What to do? But still she sat, and still she spun, and still she waited for someone to come. Well, all of a sudden she heard another at the door, and oh my goodness, what to say, what to do? Oh, said the old lady, come in. And in bounced two long arms that sat on the broad shoulders, with the wee waist and the short legs that sat on the big shoes that sat on the cold floor. The little old lady by this time is getting a little shaky, but still she sat, and still she spun, and still she waited for someone to come. And as she sat there spinning, believe it or not, she heard another, oh my, thought the old lady. Oh, and she looked at all these parts there together. Come in, said the old lady. And in came two broad hands that sat on the long arms, with the broad shoulders, and the wee waist, with the short legs, and the big shoes that sat on the cold floor. Well, by this time, the little old lady was shaking from head to foot. She didn't know what to do. It was the strangest thing she'd ever seen. But still she sat, and still she spun, and still she waited for someone to come. And again the little old lady heard a, oh my, thought the old lady. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Well, okay, come in, said the old lady, and in rolled a big head that sat on the broad shoulders, with the long arms, and the broad hands, with the wee waist, and the short legs, and the big shoes that sat on the cold floor. Well, the little old lady looked over at this thing, and she said to him, well, tell me, Mr. Pumpkinhead, what have you come here for? And the Pumpkinhead looked at her and said, I have come for you! And that is the story of the little old lady and the Pumpkinhead. Happy Halloween, kiddo. Hope you have a great one. Love you lots. Bye-bye.